Okay, we're doing two wines for this video. We thought it'd be fun to do both of our estate clonal cabs, a little side-by-side tasting. So we have our Clone 169 Cabernet Sauvignon on our right, and our Clone 412 estate cab. Both 100% cab, both single clone bottlings. We made pretty limited production on both of these, so just under 200 cases. Both all oak fermented, using lots of new French oak as well in aging these wines. But yeah, fun to always taste these side by side because they are, two very different 100% Cabernets.
Yeah, it's really great to be able to make these separate and show the difference in the clones to everybody, and I think everybody now that's in our wine club has a favorite clone of Cab Sauv that they enjoy. So I mean, what is a clone, and why do we have them? Why are they why do we grow them? So it's all Cabernet Sauvignon, clone, varietal wise. But when things naturally mutate, and they can separate that and show that it makes a different wine, then they can grow that separately as a separate clone. So a lot of times that might happen in different countries. The ones that we're doing specifically are on-top clones, so they're actually the research and the work is done by the French government, and so once they identify them, then they sell the rights to grow them to different nurseries. And we do have one nursery in Washington that can grow on-top clones. Mm-hmm. I think that's a good enough descriptor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, kind of a more simplified version too, because clone is kind of a scary sounding word. It's like, there's red apples, but there's multiple different types of red apples. It's kind of similar with clones, but the reason why we plant them and bottle them on their own is, we've always worked with a bunch of different clones for all of our different varietals that we make, and it was really, as winemakers, we would taste through them, we would comment on how all different they are, we would purposely use different clones of cab for different blends that we were making for different styles of wine. And then I think in 2016 we started making a clonal cab out of Quintessence Vineyard. Made that for a few years, and then once these 2015 plantings, were super high quality, in 2019 we bottled them on their own and now started doing clonal cabs out of the estate vineyard.
Yeah, so, I think just breaking these down and what we see the differences are is, for me, 169 is just a little more concentrated, a little more tannic, and that's just the nature of the clone. It's usually riper a little bit earlier, and that's just kind of what you get with that clone. And then 412 to me is just a little more finesse, a little more, I don't want to say lighter, still concentrated, but maybe not the same tannin structure that we see in the 169.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they are two, really small vineyard blocks planted right next, across our road that runs down the middle of our estate vineyard. So, at most they're like 10 yards away from each other. Really similar growing conditions, both cabs, but, two completely different wines. Another thing about these wines is they get extended barrel aging, so these will, spend a good 28 months in barrel compared to the rest of our wines are more at the 18 to 20 month mark. So we're using lots of really good oak barrels in these wines. We want to, leave them in there to really get that full integration of those new barrels. And I think just really adds a nice, little added texture and complexity to these releases.
I think this has taken what we've done in the past to almost to a different level. Mm-hmm. When we make wines like this. There's so much attention to detail, right down to, as you mentioned, like the exact cooper, the exact barrel we want to use in every single lot. So that takes it to another level, I think.
Yeah, and doing that, we would ideally, in a perfect world, sell our wines as fast as we could, but we're always committed to making the best wines possible. So once we decided to do that, it was kind of a no-brainer that we wanted to do a little added barrel time on these.
Sounds
Cheers
good.
with our 2 glasses.